A humble woman in a worn white shirt and jeans applies for a job at a tech giant, armed with stellar academics and years of experience. But her plain appearance and working-class roots draw scorn from the panel, who mock her and the millions of low-income Americans like her. Will she rise to prove her worth and fight for justice, or accept their humiliation? A shocking twist exposes the panel's hypocrisy, toppling them all. Watch her epic takedown. Spread #RespectEveryone. Worn shirt in a tech empire. The glass doors of Stormp's 40th floor conference room hissed open, and before Emma Davis could take a second step, a voice sliced through the air like a whip. "What is that? Did the cleaning crew forget their mop?" Diane Miller, HR director, leaned forward, her crimson blazer glowing under the LEDs, her blonde bob sharp as a guillotine. Her words landed like a punch, and the room, already a pressure cooker of egos, erupted in laughter. Emma, 30, froze, her worn white button-up shirt clinging to her frame, its collar frayed from years of wear. Her jeans were faded, her scuffed sneakers squeaked on the marble, and her dark hair was yanked into a messy ponytail. She clutched a plain manila folder, her resume inside, printed on paper so cheap it might as well have been a napkin. This was Stormp, a Silicon Valley colossus where a single Rolex could buy a used car and a designer pen could cover a month's rent. Emma looked like she'd stumbled in from a diner shift, not a leadership interview. The room was a shrine to power. A mahogany table gleamed like a runway, floor-to-ceiling windows framed the valley's tech skyline, and screens buzzed with data worth billions. 5 panelists sat like royalty, their suits crisp, their eyes colder than the glass. Diane, 45, ruled with a smirk that could curdle milk. Greg Thompson, 50, senior exec, flashed a Rolex as he spun a Mont Blanc pen, his grin smug. Tyler Brooks, 28, a trust fund coder, lounged in a pinstripe suit, his silk tie screaming privilege. Laura Kim, 38, data strategist, peered through Prada glasses, her lips a slash of disdain. Mark Evans, 42, operations lead, slouched with a buzz cut and arms crossed, looking like he'd bench press you for fun. 3 other interviewees, Claire in a pencil skirt, Brad and Ryan in tailored suits, sat opposite, their polished looks screaming Storm material. They stared at Emma, then swapped smirks, as if her presence was a clerical error. Tyler leaned forward, his laugh a blade. "Yo, this isn't the soup kitchen. Did you get lost on your way to the charity bin?" Claire, the pencil skirt candidate, clapped a manicured hand over her mouth, giggling. "Is she here for Stormp's free laptop program? I heard they're helping the homeless now." The other candidates roared, Brad adding, "Maybe she's applying for the cafeteria. They need dishwashers, right?" Emma's cheeks burned, but she stepped to the table, her voice steady. "I'm Emma Davis, here for the leadership role." She offered her folder, but Diane flicked it away like it was contagious. "Leadership?" Diane's eyebrow shot up, her tone dripping venom. "You look like you're begging for a GoFundMe, not a corner office." The panel cackled, Greg's Rolex glinting as he waved a hand. "I didn't know we were interviewing Goodwill's finest today. What's your pitch, kid? Hire me, I'm broke." The room shook with laughter, the candidates piling on. Ryan in a navy suit smirked. "She probably thinks C-suite is a bus stop." Emma's fingers tightened on her folder, but she didn't flinch. "I'm a coder with 8 years of experience. I built systems that tripled revenue for my last startup. If you'd look at my resume." "Resume?" Tyler cut her off, snorting. "What? Your barista training manual. Save it for the flea market, thrift shop princess." His words sparked another round of jeers, Claire chiming in. "I bet she coded her resume on a flip phone. So retro." The panel didn't even glance at her folder, still untouched on the table. Laura's Prada glasses caught the light as she sneered. "Let's be real, Emma. You're not Stormp material. Your degree's probably from some online diploma mill, right? This is Silicon Valley, not a community center. Mark piled on, his buzz cut practically bristling. Stick to data entry, sweetheart. Leadership's for people who don't shop at dollar stores. Diane grabbed the folder, flipping it open with mock horror. Oh wow, a resume! Did you print this at the library? She tossed it to Greg, who didn't bother looking, just slid it back. No Stanford, no MIT, no class, he said, smirking. You thought you could waltz in here looking like a temp and fool us? This isn't a charity drive. The candidates kept the onslaught going. Brad leaned forward. It's honestly disrespectful. People like her drag down the brand. Storm's for winners, not whatever this is. He gestured at Emma's frayed shirt, his nose wrinkling. Claire nodded. She's probably here to beg for a scholarship or something. Sad. Jake Miller, a 20-year-old intern slouched in a corner, angled his phone, live streaming on TikTok. His eyes widened as he whispered to his followers. They're bullying this woman just for her shirt. This is wild. #StormScandal comments flooded in. WTF, they're so mean. She's handling it like a boss. Keep filming. Emma's heart raced, the room's judgment a weight on her chest. She fought her way through male-dominated hackathons and late-night coding sprints. But this was a new kind of venom. You're judging me by my shirt, not my skills, she said, her voice low but sharp. That's your first mistake. You'll regret writing me off. Tyler clapped slowly, his smirk toxic. Regret? The only regret is you thinking you belong in this room. Security's a phone call away. Thrift shop queen. The panel laughed, but Emma's words hung in the air. A quiet promise. Diane waved a hand, her pen clicking like a countdown. Enough! You're not fooling anyone. This is Stormp, not a homeless shelter. Grab your little folder and get out before we make you. Jake's live stream hit 15,000 views, comments exploding. She's so calm, but they're trash. This needs to go viral. Emma met Jake's gaze for a split second, her hazel eyes unflinching. She tucked her folder under her arm, her voice steady. You're all going to wish you'd opened that folder. She turned for the door, her sneakers silent, her spine like steel. As the glass slid shut, Diane's laugh echoed, but a flicker of unease crossed Laura's face. Something about Emma's calm felt like a storm brewing. In the elevator, Emma pulled out her phone, her fingers steady as she texted Lila Carter. They're worse than we expected. Time to show them what I'm made of. Sneers across the mahogany. Emma Davis stood in Stormp's 40th floor conference room, her frayed white button-up clinging to her like a second skin, coffee stains blooming from Tyler's earlier splash. Her scuffed sneakers squeaked on the marble, and her manila folder, her resume inside, lay crumpled on the mahogany table, ignored like yesterday's takeout menu. The room was a Silicon Valley shrine. Glass walls framed the valley's tech empire, screens glowed with billion-dollar data, and the panel's accessories screamed wealth. A $15,000 Rolex on Greg's wrist, Diane's $2,000 blazer, Laura's Prada glasses. Emma, 30, looked like she'd wandered in from a bus stop, not a leadership interview at a company that could buy small countries. But she wasn't here to blend in, she was here to win. The panel, Diane Miller, Greg Thompson, Tyler Brooks, Laura Kim. Mark Evans sat like sharks circling blood. Diane, 45, HR queen, smirked, her blonde bob sharp as her tongue. Greg, 50, spun a Mont Blanc pen, his Rolex glinting with every smug twirl. Tyler, 28, trust fund coder, lounged in his pinstripe suit, silk tie loose like his ethics. Laura, 38, peered through her designer glasses, lips curled in disgust. Mark, 42, buzz cut and biceps, looked ready to toss Emma out himself. Across the table, rival candidates Claire in a pencil skirt, Brad and Ryan in suits grinned like they'd already won. The air reeked of cologne and superiority, and Emma was the punching bag. Diane leaned forward, her pen tapping like a countdown. All right, Emma, she said, her voice sugary poison. You say you're a coder. Let's see if you're more than a coffee shop reject. She slid a single sheet across the table, a logic puzzle. The kind a junior dev could solve in 20 minutes. 5 minutes. Pen only. Prove you're not faking it. The panel swapped smirks, knowing 5 minutes was a joke. Claire whispered to Brad. She'll choke. Bet she thinks algorithm is a dance move. Emma scanned the puzzle, her hazel eyes narrowing. This is a setup, she said, her voice calm but firm. No one solves this in 5 minutes without a laptop. Tyler snorted, his laugh grating. A setup? Nah, it's just too hard for a diner waitress like you. He leaned back, arms crossed. Go back to flipping burgers, hoodie girl. Oh, sorry, button-up girl. The candidates cackled, Ryan piling on. I bet she coded her resume in Microsoft Paint, he said, high-fiving Claire, who smirked. It's giving thrift store intern vibes. Laura's glasses flashed as she scoffed. Don't waste our time, Emma. You're not Stormed material. You look like you got your degree from a cereal box. Mark nodded, his buzz cut bristling. Yeah, stick to answering phones. This is the big leagues, not a food truck. Emma gripped her pen, her heart pounding but her hand steady. I'm here for the leadership role, not your approval of my shirt, she said, her voice slicing through their laughter. Let me solve it. She bent over the puzzle, her pen racing logic gates, sequences, clean solutions flowing like water. The room went quiet, the panel smirks faltering as she filled the page with precision. Jake Miller, the 20-year-old intern in the corner, angled his phone, live streaming on TikTok. Yo, she's crushing it, he whispered. They're trying to screw her, but she's not breaking. #Storm scandal comments flooded in. She's a freaking genius. These jerks are toast. With 10 seconds left, Emma slid the sheet back. Done, she said, her eyes locked on Diane's. The panel stared, Greg's pen frozen mid-twirl. Diane snatched the paper, her smirk vanishing as she saw the perfect answers. For a split second, the room held its breath. Then Diane laughed, a sound like breaking glass. You think this garbage fools us? She grabbed a red marker and scrawled loser across Emma's work, the ink bleeding through. Nice try, but we don't hire liars. She crumpled the paper and tossed it at Emma's feet, the panel erupting in cheers. Tyler clapped like he'd won the lottery. That's what you get for playing coder, dollar store diva, he crowed. Go write an app for laundry tips. Claire stood, her pencil skirt swishing. It's pathetic. You're dragging us all down with your sad little act, she said, kicking the crumpled paper across the floor. Maybe try the call center. They'll take anyone. Brad smirked, tossing a paperclip at Emma. Here's your signing bonus, charity case. Spend it wisely. Laura grabbed a water bottle from the table, unscrewed the cap, and splashed it across Emma's shirt, the cold liquid soaking her already stained button-up. Cool off, wannabe, she sneered, as the panel howled. You're not fooling anyone with your fake nerd shtick. Mark leaned forward, his voice a growl. You're a walking embarrassment. Storms for winners, not rejects who shop at Goodwill. Greg upped the ante, grabbing Emma's resume and ripping it in half. This is your stormed welcome, he said, tossing the pieces into the air. Hang it on your fridge, trailer park. The candidates laughed, Ryan adding. I bet her startup was a lemonade stand that tanked. Claire snapped a photo of the torn resume, posting it to her Instagram story with a caption. When you apply for a job you're not qualified for. Emma's hands trembled, the water dripping down her shirt, the torn resume at her feet. Her eyes stung, but she refused to cry. You're making a mistake, she said, her voice low but steady. You're judging me by my clothes, not my brain. You'll regret this. Tyler leapt up, his silk tie flapping. Regret? The only regret is you thinking you could scam your way in here. He grabbed a coffee mug cold, half full, and flung it at Emma. the brown liquid splashing her jeans and sneakers. "There's your exit latte, barista," Claire clapped, shrieking. "She's brewed to perfection now." The panel roared, Laura snapping another photo. "This is going viral," she muttered, smirking. Diane stood, her blazer a wall of authority. "Enough. Security, get this fraud out." She hit a button on her phone, and 2 guards in black polos stormed in, badges glinting. "Escort her to the street," Diane barked. "She's a stain on our brand." The first guard grabbed Emma's arm, yanking her toward the door. The second shoved her shoulder, nearly knocking her off balance. "Move it," he growled, as Mark tossed a pen at her. "Write your sob story somewhere else, nobody." Jake's livestream hit 75,000 views, comments exploding. "This is sick. She's soaking wet, but she's not breaking. #Storm scandal needs to blow up." He zoomed in on Emma's face, capturing the water and coffee dripping down her shirt, her red-rimmed eyes blazing with defiance. The guards dragged Emma toward the door, but she pulled free for a moment, her voice cutting through the chaos. "You don't know who you're throwing out," she said, her words a quiet thunder. "You'll wish you'd kept that resume." The panel laughed, but Laura's glasses slipped, a flicker of doubt in her eyes. Diane waved a hand, her smirk unwavering. "Out, imposter. Don't come back unless you've got a sugar daddy and a makeover." The glass doors slammed shut, the panel's laughter echoing. Emma stumbled into the elevator, soaked and shaken, her resume in shreds, but her spine stayed straight. Jake's TikTok soared to 150,000 views, #Storm scandal trending nationwide. She pulled out her phone, her fingers steady despite the chaos, and texted Lila Carter. "They've dug their graves. Let's bury them." Twist that torches the smug. Emma Davis stood in Storm's gleaming lobby, her frayed white button-up soaked from Laura's water splash and Tyler's coffee toss, brown stains streaking her jeans. Her scuffed sneakers left wet prints on the marble, and her manila folder once holding her resume was a shredded memory, tossed by the panel like trash. The 40th floor conference room's laughter still echoed in her ears, but her hazel eyes burned with a fire that could melt steel. She wasn't broken, she was ready to burn the house down. Outside, the Silicon Valley sun glinted off a Tesla pulling into the lot. Lila Carter, 35, stepped out, her navy blazer understated, but her presence electric. A former coder turned board member, Lila had been Emma's partner in crime on Storm's AI backbone, and she'd been in the interview, posing as an assistant, watching the panel dig their graves. Jake Miller, the intern, was still live streaming on TikTok, his phone shaking as he whispered to 200,000 viewers. They threw coffee on her, trashed her resume, and kicked her out. "But something's coming, I can feel it." #Storm scandal comments flooded in. "She's a queen. These snobs are done. Make them pay." Lila strode into the lobby, her eyes locking on Emma. "You okay?" she asked, her voice low but fierce. Emma wiped coffee from her cheek, her smile sharp. "I'm fine, but they're about to learn what happens when you spit on someone's dreams." Lila grinned, a predator's glint. "Let's light Em up." She led Emma back to the elevators, punching the button for the 40th floor. "I recorded everything. They're toast." The conference room buzzed with smug triumph. Diane Miller, HR director, sipped an espresso, her crimson blazer glowing like a victory flag. Greg Thompson spun his $15,000 Rolex, chuckling. Tyler Brooks, trust fund coder, scrolled his phone, his silk tie loose. Laura Kim adjusted her Prada glasses, smirking at her viral photo of Emma's ruined resume. Mark Evans, buzz cut bristling, cracked his knuckles. The rival candidates Claire, Brad, Ryan lounged, still giggling about Emma's exit. "She's probably crying in a bus station," Claire said, tossing her hair. "Good riddance." The glass doors burst open, and the room froze. Lila marched in, Emma at her side, soaked but unbowed. Diane's espresso cup clattered. "What the hell?" she snapped. "Security! She's back!" Lila raised a hand, her voice cutting like a blade. "Sit down, Diane. You're not calling anyone." She plugged her phone into the room's projector, and Jake's TikTok livestream flickered onto the massive screen, now at 500,000 views. The footage played. Diane's "You're a GoFundMe reject," Tyler's thrift shop princess, Laura's water splash, Greg's trailer park, the candidates' jeers, dishwasher vibes. The room went silent, the panel's faces draining to ash. Claire's manicured hand shook, Brad's suit suddenly too tight. Tyler leapt up, his tie flapping. "This is a setup. That's edited. She's nobody." He pointed at Emma, desperation cracking his voice. "She's a fraud trying to scam her way in." Emma stepped forward, her soaked shirt dripping, her voice calm but lethal. "A fraud? Funny. Coming from you, Tyler. Remember that AI project you pitched in college? The one that got you into Stormp?" She paused, letting the room choke on silence. "It was mine. You stole it from our group project, and I let it slide. Big mistake." Gasps rippled through the room. Laura's glasses slipped, her smirk gone. Greg's Rolex stopped spinning. Diane's pen snapped in half. Jake's livestream hit 700,000 views, comments screaming, "She's a legend. Tyler's a thief?" Lila took over, her tone ice cold. "Emma Davis isn't just a coder. She's the anonymous genius who built Stormp's AI, core the system that's made this company billions. She applied today to test your culture, and you failed spectacularly." She tapped her phone, pulling up an email from the board. "Oh, and newsflash. I'm not an assistant. I'm on the board, and we just voted to take action." The screen switched to a live feed of Stormp's boardroom, 30 execs and investors glaring through the camera. Diane's blazer sagged, her voice a squeak. You can't do this. We didn't know." Emma laughed, a sound sharp enough to cut glass. "That's the problem, Diane. You didn't need to know who I am to treat me like a person. You saw a frayed shirt and thought trash. That's what half of America feels every day. Low-income families, unemployed folks, people scraping by on minimum wage. You spit on them, just like you spit on me." Tyler stammered, his face red. "I didn't steal anything. She's lying. She's just some broke nobody trying to." "Shut it, Brooks," Lila snapped, pulling up a file on the screen. Tyler's college project, time-stamped emails proving Emma's authorship. "You're done." She turned to Laura. "And you, snapping pics like a high school mean girl? Pathetic. Half of America's out there jobless, and you're mocking someone for not wearing Prada." Laura shrank, her glasses fogging. "I didn't mean." "Save it," Emma cut in, her voice ablade. "You called me a barista, Laura. You think the 40 million Americans working retail or service jobs are beneath you. They're the backbone of this country, not your punching bag." She pointed at Greg. "And you, with your Rolex that could pay a family's rent for a year trailer park? Real classy. Try living on $15 an hour. See how you like it." Greg's jaw dropped, his pen clattering. Mark tried to stand, his buzz cut sweating. "We made a mistake, okay? Let's talk this out." Emma's smile was ice. "Talk? Like you talked when you kicked my resume to the floor? Or when you laughed while I got soaked?" She turned to Claire, Brad and Ryan. "And you three, clapping like it was a sport? You're not leaders. You're followers, and you followed these clowns straight off a cliff." Claire burst into tears, her mascara running. "I'm sorry. I didn't know you were somebody." Emma finished, her voice searing. "That's your problem. You only respect people with money or titles. Newsflash. Respect isn't a paycheck. It's a choice, and you all chose wrong." Lila nodded to the board feed. "The vote's unanimous. Diane, Greg, Tyler, Laura. Mark, you're fired, effective immediately. Security's waiting." She glanced at the candidates. Claire, Brad, Ryan, your applications are void. Stormp doesn't need spineless yes-men. The guards from earlier stormed in, the same ones who'd shoved Emma. Diane screamed, her blazer flapping. You can't fire me. I built this department. Greg stammered, his Rolex dangling. I have a mortgage. Tyler lunged for Lila's phone, shouting. This is a lie. I'm not a thief. Mark grabbed his arm, hissing. Shut up, you idiot. Laura sobbed, her glasses falling. Please, I have kids. Emma stepped forward, her soaked shirt a badge of honor. You didn't care about my life when you called me a nobody. Why should I care about yours? She turned to the guards. Get them out. They're the real fakes here. The guards dragged the panel out, Diane's heels skidding, Tyler's tie catching on the door. Claire wailed, Brad and Ryan slinking behind. Jake's live stream hit 1 million views, comments erupting. Justice. Emma's a boss. Hashtag Stormp scandal forever. The board feed showed investors typing furiously, shares spiking as the scandal trended. Lila handed Emma a dry blazer from her bag. You good? She asked, grinning. Emma slipped it on, her smile fierce. Better than ever. Let's rebuild this place without the snobs. She glanced at Jake, still filming. Keep that camera rolling. The world needs to see this. Jake gave a thumbs up, whispering. You're a legend, Emma. This is gonna change everything. As the doors closed on the panel's ruin, Emma stood tall, her wet shirt and scuffed sneakers a testament to the fight most Americans know scraping by, judged, but never broken. Money buys watches, she said to the empty room. But only heart buys respect. Heart outshines the suits. The glass doors of Stormp's 40th floor conference room stood silent, the echoes of Diane Miller's screams and Tyler Brooks's pathetic pleas fading like a bad dream. Emma Davis, her frayed white button-up still damp with coffee and water, stood in the lobby below, her scuffed sneakers planted firmly on the marble. Her hazel eyes gleamed, not with tears but with a fire that had just torched an empire of elitism. Lila Carter, board member and Emma's old coding partner, handed her a dry jacket, grinning. You just rewrote Stormp's rulebook, Emma. How's it feel? Emma slipped on the jacket, her smile sharp. Like I finally got to code the ending I deserved. She glanced at Jake Miller, the intern whose TikTok livestream had hit 5 million views in hours. Hashtag Stormp scandal trending worldwide. Keep that phone ready, Jake. We're not done yet. Jake gave a mock salute, his phone still rolling. You're a legend, Emma. This is bigger than Silicon Valley. Comments poured in. She's the hero we need. Down with the snobs. Hashtag respect everyone. 6 months later, Stormp was a different beast. The mahogany table where Diane had scrawled loser on Emma's work now sat in a redesigned office, open plan and buzzing with coders from every walk of life. Emma Davis, once the thrift shop reject, was now Chief Technology Officer, her name on the door in sleek silver. She traded her soaked button-up for a crisp blazer still paired with sneakers, a nod to her roots. Her office overlooked the valley, but her real view was the future. A Stormp that valued brains over bank accounts. The fallout from that fateful interview was a wildfire. Diane, Greg, Tyler, Laura, and Mark were blacklisted from tech, their names toxic. Diane's crimson blazer hung in a thrift shop, unsold. Greg pawned his Rolex to cover rent, his smug grin a memory. Laura's Prada glasses were on eBay, her apology video ignored. Mark vanished, rumored to be driving for a rideshare app. Tyler, the thief who'd stolen Emma's college project, faced the worst. His family cut him off, and a lawsuit loomed for intellectual property theft. Jake's TikTok, now at 20 million views, had turned their sneers into a global cautionary tale. Emma's rise wasn't just personal, it was a revolution. At a packed press conference, she stood at a podium, her voice steady, addressing a sea of cameras and coders. I'm not here because I wore the right shirt, she said, her sneakers peeking out. I'm here because I built the AI that powers Stormp, line by line, while working nights and eating ramen. I'm here for the 60 million Americans scraping by on low wages, the unemployed fighting for a shot, the dreamers told they're nobody because they don't have a Rolex or a trust fund. The crowd roared, flashes popping. You don't need a fancy suit to change the world. You need heart, grit, and a refusal to quit. She paused, her eyes sweeping the room. That's why I'm launching the Davis Fund, a $10 million startup incubator for people like me, folks from trailer parks, bus stops, and diner shifts. If you've got a vision, we've got your back. Because talent doesn't care about your zip code. The applause was deafening, coders in hoodies and jeans chanting her name. Jake, now a full-time employee, live-streamed it, his TikTok hitting 25 million views. Emma's changing the game. Hashtag Davis Fund, hashtag respect everyone. Later, outside Stormp's campus, Emma walked past a coffee cart, the same one Diane had mocked her for belonging to. A barista, a young woman with tired eyes, handed her a latte. I saw your speech, she said shyly. I'm taking night classes to code. You make me think I can do it. Emma pressed a business card into her hand. You will do it. Send me your portfolio. The Davis Fund's waiting. The barista's eyes welled up, and Emma smiled. Keep the change. You're worth more than they know. That evening, Emma stood on a downtown street, rain pattering her sneakers. A familiar figure slumped against a wall, unshaven, holding a cardboard sign. Anything helps. It was Tyler Brooks, his pinstriped suit replaced by a tattered jacket, his silk tie long gone. He looked up, recognition dawning, and froze. Emma didn't flinch. She reached into her pocket, pulled out a USB drive, the one holding their old college project, and dropped it into his cup. That's the code you stole, she said, her voice steady. Build something yourself this time. Or don't. That's on you. She walked away, her sneakers splashing, leaving Tyler clutching the USB, his empire of lies reduced to a wet street corner. Back at Stormp, Emma sat in her office, a photo of her younger self frazzled, coding on a borrowed laptop on her desk. Lila popped in, grinning. The fund's already got 500 applications. You're a movement, Davis. Emma laughed, her sneakers propped on the desk. Good. Let's give every underdog a shot to shine. She glanced at her phone, Jake's latest TikTok playing. Emma Davis took down the snobs and built a future for the rest of us. Be like Emma. Hashtag respect everyone comments flooded. She's my hero. This is what America needs. This story isn't just Emma's, it's for everyone who's been judged, overlooked, or told they're not enough. If you've ever felt like a nobody because of your clothes, your job, or your bank account, hit that like button and share this tale. Subscribe to our channel and join a community that fights for a world without discrimination, where every person is treated with fairness and respect. You don't get to choose where you're born, but you do choose how you live. So live bold, live kind, and never let the suits dim your shine. Comment below. Who's the Emma in your life, and where are you watching from? Let's build a future where everyone gets the decency they deserve.